sin with that. That's how he do it. Go ahead.
Verse 14, and Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seen as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law.
That's kind of hard that Lot got daughters that got husbands, but he said, I'm offering these daughters that have known a man.
Amen. Amen, bro.
These jokers married these women, didn't have intercourse with these women. This is how sick this land was, and God had to do something about it. He said, I got two daughters that ain't even known a man. But he talking to his son-in-law, man, that Lot ain't have 2 daughters.
Exactly.
That's something to think about. Go ahead.
Verse 15, and when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city.
So you better hurry up. Go ahead.
And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city.
He flew him out. The angels flew him out. Because he was moving too late. They couldn't even get through all the men. Go ahead. 17, and it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. He gave very detailed instruction. He said, don't look behind you. It's over with. This is going to be like a little example for us when we go to the wilderness. Don't look behind you. Leave this stuff here. Everything here. Because what's going to happen in this world that we living in right now, it's going to be destroyed. So why you worrying about your house, your cars, and all that stuff? He's going to destroy it. It's just a little smaller microcosm going to happen in the bigger future in this day. Go ahead. 18, and Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. He said, No, not so, my Lord. Go ahead. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. He said, Look, man, I ain't finna look back, because you gave me the escape plan. Right. He said, Not so, Lord, I'm not gonna look back. But you know you be talking to your wife and your kids. Go ahead. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. So they got outside of the city. They were already out of there. I know y'all thinking in your mind like they were just fleeing out and God just destroyed them. No, it was already out. It was already in the city, already out. Then this happened, go ahead. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I would not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Go ahead. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. Go ahead. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. So he entered into that. It was already in there safe and sound. Don't go be looking back to what this world has to offer. God said, don't love this world. When you flee out of this world, it's an example for us to know in these last days we had to go into the wilderness for 3.5 years. Amen. Listen what happened. Go ahead. 24. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. So he got fire for this, for Sodom, for them men pressing against those angels trying to rape them. Sodom, this is what he did to Sodomites. And he's going to do the same thing in the future. Go ahead. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. So they looking at all this Lot and his 2 daughters and the wife looking at all this. Well, they ain't even looking at it, but they hearing it. Because he told them, don't look back. Go ahead. 26. But his wife looked back from behind him and she became a pillar of salt. God destroyed her right then because she looked back. So when God tells you to go somewhere and escape plan for something, it's for a reason. He don't want you to treat him like second nature, like I'm losing something. That city was wicked with a whole bunch of homosexuals. He had destroyed. He put them in a pretty good city. You finished with that?
Got 2 more, brother.
Go ahead.
27. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain and beheld, and lo, the smoke of this country went up as the smoke of a furnace.
So God destroyed it all. And what was going on in that city? Jesus said, remember what happened to Lot's wife. It's the same thing going on today. They just overlook it. They're not talking about homosexuality. They running it. If you see this world, they running it. This is job security. If you say you're homosexual, you're hard to get fired.
Right.
Let's go to Judges. Oh yeah, not Jude. Jude, excuse me. I'm skipping. Yeah. Let's go to Jude. Little book before Revelation. See, God wants us to remember this. Sodomy in the New Testament too, we finna hit it. I'm gonna do this lesson every year, if it's the Lord will. This one right here must be taught every year. Because some people get comfortable in their churches with their friends that they try to make. You don't need to be a friend with them. Now, I'm not telling you not to be friendly. That's not my BFF. Can two walk together unless they what?
Agree.
Agree?
Bro.
So that means that you agreeing with her.
Right.
Or him.
Right.
Let's go to Jude chapter, Jude, right before Revelation, verse 3. Let's look at something here. Go ahead.
Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that you should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints.
He said, earnestly contend for the faith. You got to fight for this.
Yes, sir.
You got to fight for it. It ain't like you're going to waltz in the kingdom and ain't going to have no type of tribulation or fight. Stop thinking that. Get your mind prepared to fight every day for salvation. It's common. But you're going to have to fight for it. I'm going to have to fight for it. Satan trying to take it every time, every opportunity he get.
Yes.
He trying to take it. This is what it say here about these men. Go ahead.
Verse 4, for there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our God into lasciviousness, and denying the only Lord God and our Lord Jesus Christ.
This is what they do. They creep inside the church and they turn the whole church out. They creep inside of your house and say, it's okay. They showing that baby love. You can get, they let these same-sex people adopt people faster than let heterosexual people adopt. Real quick. Go do your research. This is what they do. They creeping into houses. It can be your house, it can be the church house, it can be any house that you in, and they making it okay. Go ahead.
Verse 5, I would therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Lord having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not.
He wants us to always go back to what our foundation is, Egypt. What happened in Egypt. But you rarely hear about that, the 400 years the Israelites spent in Egypt at the time. Deal with our people, so-called African Americans. Jump down to verse 7. This is what God said right here. Go ahead.
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
He said, make sure you understand this. Coming after strange flesh. It's crazy for another man to be attracted to another man.
Come on, bro.
Another woman to be attracted to another woman. You sick in the head.
Amen.
Something wrong with you.
Amen.
That's strange.
Yes, it is.
Y'all cannot produce anything. Nothing. You two are the same outlets. You got to have a positive and a negative, or in or out to make power. And the power you make when a man and woman get together is life. You cannot make life with two men and two women. And then they say, oh yeah, she can have a baby. Yeah, where'd she get the sperm from? She got it from a man. They ain't producing that in no laboratory. No, she had to extract that from a sperm bank. Don't let them play with your mind like this. But we got to make sure that we keep this going. Let's go. We finished?
Yeah, one more.
Go ahead.
Likewise, also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignity.
They speak evil of this dignity of this law. This dominion is something got to rule over you and I, so we can make this law got to rule over you and I, so we can look, God can look down and say, that's my child. Let me save them from destruction. But if you always living by somebody liking you, this is the wrong book for you. They're going to dislike you.
Yes, yes.
There's no law saying you can't dislike me. But it's a law telling me you can't be abominable. You can dislike me all day long. But believe me, I'm gonna teach this book, and you should teach this book too. Nothing wrong with dislike. You might not agree with something I say, okay. There ain't no sin, but what is right and what is wrong? Abomination is sodomy. Let's go to Judges chapter 19. So you gotta understand too, man, God do something to people who try to protect these people. Judges 19. You gotta look at these examples, man, because it's going on in our world, in our generation right now. You can't be the one that empower this sodomy, empower homosexuality, LGBTQ, whatever, alphabet people. That's what I call them. Judges chapter 19. Let's look at something here about this prophet and his concubine. And this prophet had a concubine who wanted to play the whore. But she got a hold to some sodomites, and they did some pretty rough stuff to her. And Israel had to step in and do something about it. Judges chapter 19 verse 1. Go ahead.
And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah.
So this Levite, which is a priest, had a concubine who he took his concubine. Go ahead.
And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months.
So she wanted to hold around. That what it said, right?
Yep.
Go ahead.
And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house, and when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him.
Now, this husband went after her, tried to speak friendly to her. Man, those streets got her, bro. Let her stay where she at. But he went and tried to bring her home. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there.
Like, man, come on, stay right here, man. I need you to help my daughter out. Talk to him, just as we're talking to him. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way.
Because he want to make sure his daughter go back with her husband.
Right.
Want to make sure of that. But she liked playing the whore. That was his wife. Concubine, same thing as wife. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And they sat down and did eat and drink, both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thine heart be merry.
Well, he was trying real hard to make sure he stayed there and get his daughter back home with him. Because he knew what's going to happen to her. She was playing the whore out there. Jump down to verse 9. Go ahead.
And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry. And tomorrow get you early on your way, that thou mayest go home.
So he saw the concubine come. He said, look, stay the night, get some rest, so you can go home. But the man of God said what? Go ahead.
But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed, and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him.
Go ahead.
And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent. And the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray thee, and let us turn into this city of the Jebusites and lodge in it.
Now that's big mistake. To come in this city. Let's lodge here for a minute. It was him and his concubine was on the way back home. But check this out, verse 12.
And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger that is not of the children of Israel. We will pass over to give you.
Big mistake. This is like going to see me at night. It's like going to the dark side. It's like going to the hood. Big mistake. He want to go with amongst his people. But you know Israel now, we wild. You better go amongst the white folks over there if you're going to go in the hood and think you're going to be comfortable. And he told them that was a big mistake, but he wanted them large amongst the Israelites. But the Israelites here were wicked. They were sodomites. Jump down to verse 15. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All this story kind of similar to the one we just read in Genesis 13. Go ahead.
15. And they turned aside thither to go in and to lodge in Gibeon. And when he went in, he sat down in the street of the city. For there was no man that took them into his house to lodge in.
There was no man took him in the house to lodge. He looked for somebody to take him in. Go ahead.
And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at evening, which was also of Mount Ephraim. And he sojourned in Gibeon. But the men of the place were Benjamites.
See, they were Benjamites, which is Israelites. But they were Sodomites too now. Go ahead.
And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou? And whence comest thou?
He saw a good-looking man. Like, hey, man, where you going? Go ahead.
And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, toward the side of Mount Ephraim. From thence am I. And I went to Bethlehem, Judah. But I am now going to the house of the Lord. And there is no man that receiveth me to house.
Go ahead.
Yet there is both straw and provender for our asses. And there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is with thy servants. There is no want of anything.
He said, I got everything for you right here. Come on and lodge in my house. Go ahead.
And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever let all thy wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street.
He said, man, these streets ain't real. He said, don't lodge in the street because they coming. They coming, all of them. They looking for some men. Go ahead.
21. So he brought him into his house and gave provender unto the asses. And they washed their feet and did eat and drink.
Go ahead.
Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thy house, that we may know him.
That sound familiar?
Yes.
They come around the house. Never been. Where the women at?
Right.
I know some women in there. They come around, I want to see the man that we may know him.
Right.
Want to have sex with him. Go ahead.
23. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly, seeing that this man is coming to my house, do not this father.
Wait a minute, they just want to talk to him. What are you talking about? We just talking? No, they were booty bandits. They coming to get these men. There's stuff going on today. Go to jail and you will see what's going on inside there.
Right.
You get caught in the wrong neighborhood, you will see what's going on over there too. Go ahead.
24. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man, do not so vile a thing.
Man, I don't know what's wrong with these men. Giving up their daughters and wives.
Right.
Man, ain't no way in the world I do that. They were using women as property. But I ain't getting it all together. But these folks, look what they said. Look what these men said. Go ahead.
25. But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go.
See, one thing about God, he'll show judgment. And you don't really understand it. This concubine was a whore. So he dealt with her with the men.
Right.
But he saved that virgin. They messed with the virgin. She was cool. But what you sow, you reap. So let's see what happened to the concubine. These men. Go ahead.
26. Then came the women in the dawning of the day and fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was, till it was light.
She was all night with these guys and fell down at the door. What happened? Go ahead.
And her Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman his concubine was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold.
Man, they did some wicked stuff to this woman, man. Wicked. Wicked. It's going to be so wicked that he going to cut her body in pieces so they can see what they did to the woman. They abused her all night. Go ahead.
28. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up upon an ass, and the man rose up and gat him into his place.
She was dead. Go ahead.
And when he was coming to his house, he took a knife and laid hold on his concubine and divided her together with her bones into 12 pieces and sent her into all the coast of
She
Israel.
was unrecognizable, man. Started cutting up in pieces, sent it to all the 12 tribes. To show them they have Polaroids and pictures like we got. We can they chopped up in center. Go ahead.
Verse 30. And it was so that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt unto this day. Consider of it, take advice and speak your mind.
He said, man, I ain't seen nobody get treated like this. It was so bad, he had to send the body parts to the Israelites, like, man, y'all got to do something about this. We'll jump down to verse, chapter 20, Judges chapter 21. Let's see what happened. And the reason why I'm laying the foundation of this, because this Sodom is all over the Bible. And this stuff happening today, it's just for certain people that have closed their eyes to it. Until they kid get raped or sodomized, then they want everybody to know. Long as their kid ain't raped and sodomized, they don't see that. They don't see that. Or whoever in their family. Because the preachers ain't doing their job and teaching this. You got to teach them. You got to read these scriptures. All this stuff here for our edification. So we know how to please our God, so we won't be in this abomination. You got a bunch of these sodomites coming and going around today. Judges chapter 21. Let's see what happened with Israel, how they received this. Go ahead.
Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead unto the Lord in Mizpah.
So they got the body part and all they mounting up. Like regularly, we mounting up, we finna go do something. Go ahead.
And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God. 400,000 footmen that drew sword.
Yes, sir. 400,000. This is almost like the movie 300. They coming. 400,000 of them. Go ahead.
Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were going up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, tell us, how was this wickedness?
Like, man, how they do this wickedness to this lady, man? This wickedness. Sodomites. They ain't want her, they want to abuse her. And they did so. But she played the whore though. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, answered and said, I came into Gibeah that belonged to Benjamin. I and my concubine to lodge.
Well, jump down to verse 10. He just telling the story of what happened. You can go back and read that on your own. Be here all day. Verse 10, go ahead.
And we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000, to fetch victual for the people, that they may do when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, according to all the folly that they have wrought in Israel.
Now they're going to take these soldiers with them. They're going to take visuals because they're going up to war. Go ahead.
So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, what wickedness is this that is done among you?
He's like, man, why y'all do this wickedness? Wickedness. Y'all don't want the woman to do what you're supposed to do with her, but y'all want to torture her. Because y'all ain't got no affection for a woman. That's how these men are. Go ahead.
13. Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel.
He said, listen, man, y'all give me the guys that did this to this lady. He asked them to do so, but they didn't. They want to protect these sodomites, just like they're doing today with the law. They protect them. You say something against them, they're going to protect them. And this is why I'm reading this story, so you'll know that we're going through the exact same thing. Go ahead.
Verse 14. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities into Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel.
So they're like, man, we're going to fight.
Right.
They protect these people.
Right. Yeah.
Like they fighting today to protect these people. Sodomy. Jump down to verse 18. I'm just showing you a little foundation of what's going on so you won't get caught up in these groups. Black Lives Matter. Go find out who started this.
Yeah.
Their core foundation is homosexuals. You can look at this yourself. All these little groups they got all these homosexuals who running. This is why I'm reading this. They protecting these Benjamites just like they protect all these little groups today. Same as everything. If you see it through your spiritual eyes. Jump down to verse 18. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God and asked counsel of God and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first.
Now understand that when you're in war, there's going to be some people who lose their life. He said, which of they going to go up? Judah go up. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeon. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeon.
Now you think they got a bunch of men that going to take these Benjamites down. But listen what happened. Go ahead. 21.
And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeon and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men.
They killed 22,000 Israelite men. Understand that when you go against homosexuals, there's going to be some casualties. It ain't going to be no easy battle. As we already know, when you go fight a gay person, believe me, they prepared. They prepared with guns, knives, and everything, because they always on the defense. 22,000 Israelites died. God told them to go up. Jump down to verse 24. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day.
So we're coming against the second day. Let's see what happened.
And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeon the second day and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword.
So we know this is not an easy battle for the Israelites. Because you think you roll with the Lord, you think nobody gonna die, you think nobody gonna get hurt, the weapon gonna form up. But God gonna win the battle. Jump down to verse, we'll go ahead, continue.
26. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until evening and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord.
Now understand that they're like, man, we gotta do something different. We gotta go fast because we losing. A lot of times when you go up against certain individuals, certain things, you're gonna lose a little bit. But don't get mad because you lose a little bit. That's the process of the battle. We play 4 quarters.
Right.
And people don't understand that. The first beat down, they'll quit. And run between their tail, take the tail between their legs and run. No. They went down, they started praying and fasting. How we gonna deal with these Sodomites? Go ahead.
And verse 27. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days.
Now we got the ark. That's a secret weapon.
Right.
Go ahead.
And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease? And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into thy hand.
If you understand the story of Phinehas and his brother, now they were wicked too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were wicked now, but we get into the story. He said, he told them to go up. Mm-hmm. Let's see what happened. Jump down to verse 33. Go ahead.
And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place and put themselves in array at Baal Tamar. And the liars in wait of Israel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeon.
Yes, sir.
And there came against Gibeon 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and the battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them.
Understand, they planned an ambush. They hid behind the layers, we hid behind something, and they ambushed. This is how they won. Go ahead.
35. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,100 men. All these drew the sword.
So we won that day, 25,000 men. It's going to be some casualty when you're going up against this abomination. Jump down to verse 43. I just want to get into that and show you what happened to the Israelites when they came up against that war of abomination. Some people, you're going to go through a little pain. People don't like to go through pain. They think God put us at whooshing, just go straight through it. Nobody hurt, nobody killed anything. No, it's some people died here for this wickedness that these Benjamites did against this lady. Jump down to verse 43. Go ahead.
Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about, and chased them, and trode them down with ease over against Gibeon toward the sunrising.
So they chased the rest of them. Go ahead.
And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were men of valor.
These were their strongest soldiers. 18,000 men they fell Israelite killed them. So they were defeated now. Go ahead.
And they turned and fled toward the wilderness into the rock of Rimmon. And they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them until God get them, and slew 2,000 men of them.